welcome to this new edition of our interviews. I know that you already learned a lot in our first season. There is so much more to come. Stay connected. Today, our special guest is Pamela Millican. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Welcome, Pamela. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to be here. It's great what you're doing. I think it's lovely.
I'm also excited, and I'm sure that we are going to learn so much from you. Pamela Millican is a mindset, personal development, and business coach, as well as a published author of 2 books. She used her story and childhood experiences into her source of strength and power. Pamela is about to launch her 6 weeks personal development program called Reset Your Life, where she will share her knowledge, training, and personal experiences. She feels that too many people are out there hurting, living a life less than ordinary, and all because of the way they have been or are still being treated by others. She wants to bring her story to the world, to show everyone who listens that they can have the life of their dreams. They can even dare to dream that you can be given the most horrible, soul-destroying start in life, but what you do with that trauma and pain will determine who and what you become. Her mission is to inspire and empower everyone she meets to stop being influenced by others and become the best versions of themselves and live a happier and more joyful life. This is an impressive bio. Thank you so much for being with me, Pamela. I am honored, and I am looking forward to hearing more from your experiences and your story. I would like to start this interview with the first question. How did you start on this path? What happened in your life, and what is your story?
That's not one question, Diana. That's like a ton of questions. And I will endeavor to answer everything. Okay. So I started on this life, this pathway of my life, I should say, because I grew up in poverty and abuse. I grew up in England, one of the horriblest estates in England, or one of the roughest, I should say. And there was a lot of terrible things going on there. There are also a lot of good people too, but it was a rough estate, and it was one of those estates you avoided growing up. And I grew up in an abusive family, and as I say, abject poverty. Neither of my parents were educated, or they didn't have jobs, and we relied on school meals for our food mostly. And my mother smoked like a chimney sweep. You know, she chain smoked. She chain smoked. And my father was a very angry man, so he was very violent. And I grew up with that, but I was very fortunate in as much as when I was 15, I had a boyfriend who was the other side of town, and he had parents that actually were educated and that did work. And I saw 2 different sides of people. I saw my family that were living in poverty and uneducated, so they swore a lot, and they didn't wash, and we didn't eat much, and we wore the same clothes all the time and the same shoes and whatever. And then I saw his family that did work, and they were educated, and they had jobs, and that were made them better people. They had a phone inside their house, and they had a car. And so I saw 2 sides of that. And when my father was, because he was such an angry man, knocking us around and beating us all up, and telling me I would never be anything, I struggled with believing that, because if I really was this useless person that he was telling me I was, and making me feel that I was worthless, then why wasn't my boyfriend's mum and dad treating me the same way? So that kind of set me on this, like, this doesn't work for me. And I've always been an avid reader. I read everything in the library, I believe, at school. You know, that was my escape. I read all these different books. And so I went from I was very curious, and I still am very curious, and I want to know everything about everything. And I'm a typical overachiever right now. So I grew up in this kind of conflict, going, well, they don't treat me like that, so there must be something wrong with my family. And I believed wholeheartedly that it was education, that my family weren't educated, so they didn't know much better and were just reactive parents. And reacting to the way that they were brought up, because they were brought up in abusive environments too. So my mother left when I was at school one day, took off with my sister, and I came home and she'd gone. And then 6 months later, my dad had been seeing this other woman, and he moved in with her. And I was away on with my boyfriend on holiday with him and his parents, because he wouldn't go unless I could come. I don't think they really wanted me to go because I was downtown girl and he was uptown boy, but I was allowed to go. And it was the most amazing time of my life. I got to see foreign people and foreign food, and it was just like all these things. And you can imagine for someone who grew up the way that I did to be we went to 7 different countries, and Italy and Spain and Germany and Luxembourg. And I used to listen to Radio Luxembourg with a radio I'd got from a jumble sale under the pillow, and then I was actually in Luxembourg. I'm like, oh my God, I listened to this radio station coming from here. So I had so much excitement to share when I came home, but unfortunately when I came home, the whole house was empty and everybody had gone and everything I owned had been thrown away. Now I knew my dad had been seeing this woman, so I walked to her house. It took me a few hours to get there in the rain. It's always raining in England. And my book, Making Broken Beautiful, shares this part of my story where I had such an amazing holiday. And it was the altercation between Jean and I where I wasn't welcome. And I said, but what happens to me? I'm still at school. I'm only 15 and a half. And she said, not my problem. And I said, well, how do I feed myself or clothe myself? And where do I sleep? And as I said, not my problem. So that was it. She shut the door and I went to stay with my boyfriend for a little while, but that didn't really work out because there's just too much difference there. And so I went to live in someone's attic, and my brother found where I was and was bringing me food that he was stealing from my dad's house. But from that point on, my father washed his hands of me and didn't want anything to do with me because of that relationship there. So my life then began. I didn't allow amazing things to happen for me because something bad was going to happen, because that's what had happened at 15 and a half. So my whole journey has been about learning and educating myself on people and what makes people think the way they do and how you can change that and how you can get stuck there. Or you can go down that road of, feel sorry for yourself and have a pity party and live as a victim. Or you can go, and they're still winning then. When you live in that place, the people that hurt you are still winning. Whereas I chose education and to learn and to understand. And I forgave them all, not because it was okay, but because I no longer wanted their energy and the way they treated me to impact me. And if I'm still angry at them, they're still winning. If I'm still treating myself badly, they're still winning. If I'm not allowing myself to be successful, they're still winning. And I thought, that's never going to happen. So kind of in a nutshell, that's what my book, Making Broken Beautiful, which has been adapted by Hollywood producer Gino Scala into a screenplay. So now we're looking for investors to come and take it and make it into a film. So kind of that was a long answer, wasn't it?
That's amazing. That's amazing. Congratulations. I am so touched by your story. And I know that whatever I lived in the past doesn't come even close to what you lived. And your story inspires, I believe, millions of people. We just need to put it out there so that more and more people hear it and learn from it. I would like to ask you, how did you manage to gain that confidence to move forward, to change your life? What happened? What is that switch that happened in your mindset? Or what are the steps that you took in order to make that switch? Because this is an incredible story and a painful story, experiences that you went through, and yet you managed. And I know that so many people are stuck. Whenever they are in a financial struggle, they think that I cannot make it because I'm not rich enough. And yet you did it. How did you manage?
People don't actually lack resources. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to have a big team around you. You don't even need to have support around you. People lack resourcefulness. And I believe I 100% put my success down to education because, as I said, I was reading from a very early age. And that was my get out of jail card, I think. I just read the newspapers that the people used to throw out next door. I was always reading the news, and I was constantly in the library and borrowing books. I must admit, I did steal a few books from school so I could take them home and finish reading them and whatever. And I was just determined. And I honestly think because Ian's family were very different from mine, I saw a difference. And I've had a few people get in touch with me actually from my past and say, they've caught up with me and said, I remember you as a little girl and you were always smiling, always happy. And we know what was going on in the background. And yet you never shared that with anybody. You were out there making everybody's day. And it touched me when one lady, she must be probably in her 80s. And she messaged me all the time saying, I'm so proud of you. I know where you come from. And look at you, I'm so proud of you. And I know what your family were like and how you were abandoned. And I think it's just that determination. And I actually think we're all born with a purpose. And I think when you dig deep, and we all know too, Deanna, whether we're a good person or not, do you know what I mean? I knew deep down that I was a good person. I knew I tried hard. I knew I was a kind and caring person. And that didn't make me perfect. I messed up all the time and I did things wrong and I got it wrong, but I never ever judged myself by what I got wrong. I give myself credit actually for trying, because I don't believe in failure. I think there's only feedback. And and I have 2 children now, and I'm about to turn 60 in 4 weeks' time. And I've taught my children. Yeah, I know, thank you. It feels very old. And my oldest daughter turned 28 today, and I taught them to be solution-oriented beings, problem solving. And, I would say when they came to me like, hey, my mumsy, and I go, whoop, they go, no, I've got a solution. I said, don't come to me with a problem and whinge about it, because that's called whinging and I'm not interested. So if you've got a solution, then I can help you work through that. And so I think they're the kind of skills that people lack. They think they have to be perfect. They think they have to get it right first time. They think they need other people to help them. They think that they need validation and recognition. And hand on my heart, I can tell you, I used to think I needed that. Up until I was about 27 years old, I thought I needed that. And I made every family, whatever boyfriend I went out with, and I've only had about 4 or 5 boyfriends because I still didn't move anywhere. But as soon as I had a boyfriend, I made their mum and dad my mum and dad, their sisters and brothers, my brothers and sisters, and their home became my home until that ended. And then I'd move on to the next boyfriend and start all over again. Because as soon as it got to the point where it was all comfortable, of course, that didn't fit with my blueprint of chaos and violence and abuse. So I had to just go. And I was always the one to walk away. And because I messed up my life until I was about 27. And I said to my friend, maybe my dad will love me. And this is really silly, that he was beaten me, abused me, and abandoned me. And yet we still seek that person's validation, that person's attention, and that person's love, which is why people stay in relationships that they don't want to be in, or they stay in violence that they don't want to be there, but it's what they know. It's their comfort zone, and they know how to handle it, and they know how to keep themselves out of trouble. So that's all known, and they know how to deal with it. Stepping outside of that is the unknown. So until I was 27, I said to my girlfriend, I know what will make my father love me. I'm gonna win the European surfing championships. And she goes, but you don't surf. I'm like, no, I know. But now I've got to go and find out how I'm going to do that. And I bought a wave ski, and I went next door, and that guy, I'd seen him was one on his roof. And I said, what do you do on that thing? And he told me, he said, come down on the weekend. I went down, and then I won the British, the Welsh, the Cornish, and I took out the Europeans within 12 months of surfing, and the Europeans were in France. So you can do
incredible.
You can do whatever you want when you put your mind to it. I did a law degree just because my father said you're a worthless piece of shit and you'll never be anything. And I thought, I'll show you. And so I thought, right, what can I do? I know I'm going to become a lawyer. I did my law degree and then went, I don't actually want to be a lawyer. I'll move on to something else. And I have more qualifications than hairs on my head. It doesn't make me any better. It just means I've got a big toolbox for my coaching and counseling, and I get great results. And I think everything was stacked up like that so I could do what I do now. And that's empower people to go, it doesn't matter where you started. It doesn't matter how you were treated, because it's not about you. And if we stop personalizing what people do to us and we go, there's something wrong with you because I know who I am. I know if I've told lies. I know if I've messed up, and I know if I've been bad, if you want to say good or bad. I know what I've done. And if I can fess up to that and go, you know what, I was being selfish there, and I'm going to forgive myself and understand why I was selfish, because people are not their behaviors. Their behaviors are what they do to get their unmet needs met. And so there's people and there's behaviors. They're not the same thing. Behaviors are what you do.
This is incredible, and I am so touched and so honored to have you here. From what you are saying, you are actually someone who is resourceful, and as you mentioned, you are always finding solutions. And this is something that I see over and over again, that it's missing completely in this world, not only jobs in careers, but also as a business owner. And you are unstoppable. I can see from all the experience and what you mentioned with the surfing, and it's like, how did you manage that? I would never think about that. And law, wow, law, it's very difficult to pass a law exam and to get the certification. I was in the finance world, but I always considered the law of being so difficult that I would not even touch it or not even get close to it, and you managed.
It was the hardest thing I could think of. It was like, okay, what can I do? I know I'll become a lawyer, and that'll give me prestige. But when I won the European Championships was when I decided I'm not going to need his attention anymore. Because I rang him from the telephone box in France and said, Dad, I've just won the European Surfing Championships, and I'd built myself up for the whole year to this moment thinking he's going to say, I am so proud of you, and blah, blah, blah. I had this whole romanticized idea of what it was going to be. It wasn't anything like that. All he said was, oh, what's the weather like out there? And I thought, there's something wrong with you. And I swore at the phone, and I put it back down in this cradle, and I thought, that's it, I'm done. I'm not going to need that man's attention. I'm not going to need his validation, because there's something wrong with him. Because I'd worked so hard for 12 months to be able to win the championships. Like I went British and Welsh and Cornish, and I just went like 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. And I visualized every day. I got myself out of the way. I challenged myself in big waves. I was scared, but I was the only girl out there. And I was just like on a mission, I was just like, I just went for it. And anyone who's ever tried to go for something knows what effort you got to put in. And when you don't get something, did you put the same amount of effort in? Probably not. And so reward in, effort out, or effort in, sorry, reward out, and that it always balances. And so people aren't failures, they just fail to try, give it 100%, because then they can say, well, I didn't really give it my best, so that's why I didn't get it, because they're scared of failing, or they have a fear of succeeding, because succeeding doesn't fit with their blueprint that they're running around with. So I love going out and just crushing everybody's blueprint and just going, and I get results. You can read my testimonials or hear my testimonials. I've got lots of videos, and people go, I don't even know how she got there. And I think that was the only reason I did a law degree. When I listen to people talk, I can go rubbish, 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 superfluous. Oh, that's the point. And I zero in on that, and that's it. So yeah.
Thank you, Pamela. This is absolutely incredible, and actually it inspires me as well, because I was thinking this morning before starting our interview that I'm so tired. Like, what am I doing? What am I putting myself in all of these things? And now I realize that actually I am not alone. That there are so many people out there who sometimes they feel tired, and they feel maybe that they fail. They don't know how to move forward, and this is why we are here. Thank you so much once again for being with me on this journey. I am honored to have you here once again. I would like to ask you, do you think that when you changed your mindset about the appreciation you were looking from your father, do you think there was maybe a change in perspective in the way you were looking to the events? Maybe the past became actually your strength, your power. You didn't need that anymore.
100%. That was my turning point. It was like, I have achieved so much, trying to, I did my law degree to prove to him I was somebody and not a nobody, like he said. I did I've got so many other achievements. I played rep netball, and it didn't matter what I did, it wasn't going to be good enough for him. And I thought, well, why do all these things for his attention? Because he's not going to give it to me. I could become the next president of the United States, and it wouldn't impress him, but he'd want to be involved with me then, because he would be able to go to the White House type of thing. And I thought, I'm not being used like that. And so I did a lot of inner reflection and meditating, and I used a lot of hypnosis. I'm a master hypnotherapist too, so I like to create custom hypnotherapy sessions for people just so they can get past that inner voice that goes, oh, you're not good enough, don't do that, you're going to fail, you're going to look stupid, and all of that sort of stuff. And we just get yourself out of the way and just think, well, who am I without my problems, right? Because thoughts are not facts. It's a bit like, did you know that the unconscious mind can't tell the difference between what's real and what's imagined? It's constantly reacting to whatever you tell it. So it's like fear and excitement. They're made in the same place in your body and in brain. The only difference is when you're frightened, you hold your breath and you do that. Whereas when you're excited, you breathe. So next time you're frightened, whoever's listening to this, next time you're frightened, I want you to take a big old breath, belly breath, and keep breathing, and you'll find that that fear just goes away, because it can exist without the breath being restricted like that. So yeah, my turning point was, I can carry on chasing my dreams for someone else who's not going to be able to give it to me, or I can know that I'm actually really quite resourceful, and I've got a lot of information in my head. I love studying. I'll just do, if I'm not good at something, I'll find someone to teach me. I'll watch YouTube. I'll get on Mr. Google. He knows answers to everything, and I'll learn about it. And if I don't know it, it just means I don't have the knowledge, and there's plenty of places to get that knowledge. So people can go out and step outside their comfort zone. I love my course is about getting people to step outside their comfort zone, step into their genius zone, and go from fearful to fearless. And I love doing that. And I actually love working with parents too. So because the way we speak to our children becomes their inner voice. And so I like to crush that before it becomes a thing, because our society right now with children is, they're overindulged, and, they're not very sociable. They spend all their time on the internet and playing games and like that, and they don't exercise much, they don't go outside much, they don't socialize much, and they're our future. And you're like, maybe we can give them some more skills.
Absolutely. Thank you, Pamela. Do you think there is something we can all do? Because I know that many people are stuck, and you mentioned that it's sometimes difficult to get out of our comfort zone. How do we do that? What is stopping us actually to really become the best version of ourselves? And what can we do to overcome that?
Just challenge it. Challenge that, whatever it is that's keeping you stuck. Just because you're afraid, thoughts are not facts. Right, so I'm afraid of doing something. It's like, well, am I really, or have I just? It's like, okay, spiders. Like if spiders really were something to be afraid of, everyone would be afraid of them. But some people will walk around holding them, or snakes, or jumping off of high buildings, or whatever. Thoughts are not facts. And I would suggest everybody go challenge, write down everything you think you're afraid of, and then challenge each one. And it doesn't mean to say when you step outside your comfort zone that you take a massive big leap, because that would send you back down into fear, where then you just do your breathing. But you do a little bit and a little bit, and you challenge it a little bit by little bit, and stop judging yourself. Stop comparing, stop judging, and give yourself a break. Be gentler with yourself, and give yourself permission to make mistakes, because there is no failure, there's only feedback. In fact, there's a lovely saying that says you only fail when you fail to try. And you can decide at any moment. And I've had people say, well, no, I can't. I'm like, well, yes, you can. And I know, because I've come from a place of experience, not just book smart, not just knowledge, wisdom, training smart, actual experience. And I know the minute I decided, what, it doesn't matter what I do. My father is not going to be the father that I have this image a father should be. He can't give me what I want. And even if he rode up today and said, I love you, I'm so proud of you, it wouldn't change who I am. His recognition and validation would not make me a better person. It wouldn't make me more honest. It wouldn't make me younger. It wouldn't make me my skin look younger or my hair longer. It wouldn't do anything for me. It wouldn't make me anything. It wouldn't make me wealthier. So what am I chasing that for? And it's like, when you're living that life to please someone else, you're not living your own life. So you've got to make a decision. It's like, the last thing you want to do is die with regrets. I wished I'd been more courageous. I wished I'd tried things more. I wish I'd allowed myself to fail. And just so test what you believe and why you believe it, and where did that belief come from? And then, whose voice is it that's in your head? And, just challenge it, and test it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Pamela, because I know that those who are listening to us are inspired and are learning so much. There is so much you gave us today in just a few minutes. Thank you once again for being with me on this journey. I would like to ask you, before we close our interview, who are you serving, and how can people contact you if they want to receive your advice, your coaching, your training, what you have to offer to them?
Okay, well, they can find me on PamelaMillican.com, which is my website, and they can look at my testimonials and see what I'm about on there. And there's also www.PamelaMillican.com/book-a-call. And also they can find me on my Facebook, and they can join me and message me if they want to on there, or Instagram too, Pamela_Millican. So there's plenty of places to find me, and just honestly read my story, buy the book, Making Broken Beautiful. It's available on Amazon. I don't make any money from that. I think I get about $3 for every book that's sold if it's a paperback, and not much more if it's Kindle, but that's not what it's about. But the book is half biography, and then half the rest of the book, the second half, is all the tools, the strategies and the techniques I used to get past that and to challenge what I believe. Now, that's not to say I don't have my moments now, I still do. But what you got to understand is no one can make you feel anything, Diana. All they can do is trigger something that's already there, that internal reference, which then comes up and you're able to review it and go to, well, do I still believe that? I used to believe that, but do I still believe that? Because all the decisions that we've made about ourselves, we made when we were children with very little time on the planet, with very little education about what actually meant something else, like complex equivalence, that must mean that, you didn't sleep facing me all night, so I mustn't be loved. And so we make up all these stories in our head, and which we created as children to try and understand our world. So, but we're not children anymore. So there are so many ways that you can just go that I do a thing like this, and I'll share something. I tap. I don't know if any of you know about tapping, but it's a great thing. I would tell everyone to tap on all the different points. It comes from acupuncture. Each point has an organ and an emotion attached to it. So you can tap while you're thinking, and you can say, in the past, I would have believed I was nothing, but now I'm older and I no longer believe that, because I succeed at everything I do. I mess up, I get it wrong, but I'm still trying. So you say something like, in the past I was 18, but now I'm not. In the past I wasn't very good at that, but now I'm willing to learn in the past. So that signals the unconscious mind that behavior or that thing was in the past, but now, and then you can put in whatever your new mindset is. So plenty of ways for people to get hold of me. My next program for the Reset Your Life, which will take you from wherever you're stuck and give you all the tools so that you can get unstuck and start living your life, living it by design rather than by default. We're too busy living ourselves by default. And when you're living it by default, you're living it with that little voice in your head going, don't do this, and you don't want to disappoint someone, you don't want to upset anybody, but then you're living their life. And if you're living your mother's life, you got to look at what your mother achieved, right? And if it's what you want, fantastic, keep doing that. You don't have to change any of this. If you're happy where you are, don't change anything. But if you know you can have more, be more, and do more, then challenge what you believe. Jump on a call with me, stalk my website, stalk my Facebook profile. You'll see that I've had an amazing life, because I created it, because I stopped believing all those people. I just started flying helicopters and all sorts of things. So, I got my bucket list, and I worked my way through my bucket list. I tell everyone, this is a new year, set your bucket list. And when you write your bucket list, look at what resistance you have to that. And that's where your issues are. And then you can challenge each one of those. And if you want to join my program, DM me through Facebook or on my website, get in touch with me, or write me an email, pamelamillican@gmail.com, and I'll jump on a call with you and I'll see whether what I'm doing is the right thing for you, because I want it to be the right thing for you, because I coach for success. And it's a 6-week program, and it's got everything in it, apparently. And the 18 people that have gone through it so far have made amazing changes. People have opened up their own gyms, and just now they've set boundaries, because it's all about setting the right boundaries and stuff like that. So yeah, all of that and more.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Pamela. And I know that I said it many times, but I am honored to have you here, because I know that you went through a lot and you proved that we can do actually more, that we can design our life. And this is exactly the message of my brand, that we have the ability to design our tomorrow. And you are the proof that this is possible, that everyone can do it, no matter what happened in our past. If you need Pamela, don't hesitate to contact her, because she is there to support you and to guide you to transform your life, because you deserve to live something better. You deserve to inspire the world through your story, through your experience, and through your lessons. Thank you once again, Pamela, for being with me on this journey. I am honored and I am touched by your story. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And for those of you listening to us, stay connected, because there is so much more to come. Don't lose any episode, because you are going to transform your world just by listening to those who already did it. Thank you for being with us.